I was fired, and it worked out well. Really evaluating my life and looking at it and saying, what can I take responsibility for? And every part that I was able to take responsibility for, I did.
You gave me education on the business and being a second generation owner, foreshadowing what I was about to experience.
I was a train wreck. I had all the success in the world. I was running my own company. I had 10 exit. We were making millions of dollars a year. I had fancy clothes, beautiful family. I had everything. I had a black American Express card. I mean, anything on paper.
You had the hustler's mentality. I've always thought you were always one of the smartest guys in the room.
I had it all. And I was miserable. And miserable because I was chasing the wrong things. I forgot my purpose. Why was I doing all of this? I was away from my family all the time. I wasn't investing in relationships with people that I really cared about.
Partnership is something that people miss. Sometimes we're so transactional. The value of a long-term relationship, it can take you to other places.
Everything that I had coming to me from a dose of humility I got, and I deservedly ate it. The art of rigorous honesty. I think the biggest lesson of it all was
managing independent contractors and gig workers is tough. Between onboarding, compliance, insurance, and payments, it's a lot to handle. And one mistake can put your entire business in jeopardy. That's where GigSafe comes in. Your all-in-one solution for managing independent contractors and gig workers, seamlessly and cost-effectively. Get drivers onboarded in days, not weeks. Automate compliance and save up to 40% on insurance. Visit gigsafe.com and give them the L2F discount code to get 10% off your first month's invoice. Now back to Last the First.
Welcome back, Last the First family. We are back with another episode. I've got a special guest. When I was first getting into the business, my dad had me go speak with a few people. And this individual is one of the people that I got a chance to speak with before I got into the business and learned a tremendous amount about what to do, how to do it. He was also, and is also still second generation owner of his family's business. He also exited. We'll talk about that. But really became one of my early mentors in the space. And he's a young guy, cool guy. We hung out a lot together in Houston a little bit. But so we got to learn about each other both personally and professionally. So happy, excited to be here with Mr. Eric Donaldson. I call him E-Money sometimes. E, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you.
Nice setup you got.
You like this?
I like it.
It's a cool little vibe, right? Cool little vibe.
Nice.
There's a lot of different ways we can go with this conversation, so we can just talk.
Let's do it.
One of the early memories I have, I drove up to Houston.
Yeah.
I think I might have been like a week into moving back to New Orleans and came to Houston. And the purpose was to look at the technology you guys were using.
That's right.
Versus what we had in place, which I quickly identified that was not going to be an answer for us.
I remember that very clearly. Yeah.
And so I came and spent, I think, 3-4 days with you in your operation in Houston. And I thought I was just coming for an education on technology. You gave me education on the business and being a second generation owner, working with your dad. You were the first person in this space that was kind of foreshadowing what I was about to experience. And so we talked a little bit about that. I want to get back into more of that later and how all that panned out. But man, first, just thank you for that. Because
you're welcome.
Those were some very informative, insightful conversations we had. You shared a lot with me. The pricing document, literally, the pricing chart that I use today came from you.
Yeah.
You taught me about pricing. Yeah. Getting away. We used to price based off of zip codes and zones. You taught me mileage-based pricing. And a whole host of other things, warehousing. You're the first person to actually talk to about how do you manage inventory? How's it come in? How's it come out? You charge for that? Wait, you mean you can charge people to inbound it, outbound it, cross-dock it, and deliver it?
Yeah.
You gave me all that game.
That's awesome.
So I don't think I've ever shared those nuggets with you, but I want to give you your flowers on that because I do appreciate that.
Man, that's awesome to hear, man. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. All of that came from Randy Paz. So I just wanted to pass it down. Right? Yeah. He did the same thing for me. Almost the exact same story. I came into the business. I was told, hey, call this guy, ask him everything that you can think of. And he literally just opened the doors and gave me everything. Yeah. Just wanted to pass it down and share it. And out here in California, long live the mayor of Las Vegas. But old Randy Paz.
Randy Paz.
So,
but
yeah, man.
So let's set the stage for the audience. Give me a little bit of your background, company that your father started, the role you played in the growth, and then just maybe get to the point before you guys actually took the next step in exiting, because I want to cover a few things in that part of the conversation.
Yeah. So I grew up in Houston, Texas in 1978. My father started Hotshot Delivery. Started it on a fluke. He was duck hunting. He had sold computers for RCA. They exited the computer business. He sold real estate, had his own commercial real estate company with a group of folks. It was tough. It was late 70s.
Yeah.
And was duck hunting with a real estate attorney, recommended that he look at buying a delivery service. He tried to buy several, didn't work out. And so he just hung his shingle and opened up Hotshot Delivery. And
no background.
never been in the delivery business before, out of college, sold computers and sold real estate, and that was it. And that's how he got started. And he built that business, very successful throughout the 80s. Grew up going to the office and in and around. But I was always discouraged from being in the business. There's a lot easier ways to make a living, was typically what I heard. And so I was able to work there in summers and things like that. But it was not something that I was encouraged to pursue as a career. I always wanted to pursue it as a career, but I was never encouraged to do that. And so went on to Texas A&M. I graduated. I went into executive recruiting, spent 4 or 5 years doing executive recruiting. And about that time, Hotshot was transitioning into warehousing and fulfillment, some computer parts, early 2000s, 2004-ish. And I was considering starting my own recruiting firm, needed to wait out a non-compete. Perfect timing. Said, hey, I'll come sell for you. We'll make this transition. And really just went to have health insurance because I had a baby on the way. And, lo and behold, fell in love with the business, met Randy, learned everything I could learn, became a student of the game, which I got to tell you, that's why you are where you are today, is because when you came to my office and you sat down, you really wanted to be there. You wanted to learn. You wanted to get better. And that's evident in the way you live your life and the way you show up with your family. And it's beautiful to see. And I would encourage anybody that watches, like, that's the lesson that you take away from this, is if you're going to do something, do it as a student of the game, right? Learn it, be a sponge. That's why you are where you are today. And I'm super proud of you, dude. Super proud of you.
It means a lot to me.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
Need to right size your business or scale it, and you want to avoid all the hassles and growing pains? Meet AdLink, your go-to partner for outsourced talent solutions, keeping your delivery operations running seamlessly and profitably. From customer service reps to dispatchers, including those difficult to staff nights and weekends, to back office admins, AdLink trains each logistics coordinator in your processes and native systems to get the job done right every time. And with top-tier security and compliance, your data is always protected. Optimize, scale, succeed. Go to adlink.com and use the L2F discount code and get $200 off your first month's invoice. Now back to Last the First.
And so that's where we were. Fast forward 16 years, we had gone through pretty big transitions. We didn't even have a cargo van in our fleet when I joined the company in 2004. We had, my grandmother's old belongings in our warehouse at the time. So we cleared all of that out. We fast forwarded. We went through, fastest growing company in Houston, multiple years throughout the 2007s, 2008. 2008 hit us pretty hard, but we grew. We easily 10x the company. Yeah. We went through a couple of moves. Everything that we wanted to accomplish, we did, which was essentially get any personal guarantees off of my father's plate, right? He was no longer personally guarantee any loans. We were essentially debt free. We had a little bit of a line of credit that covered a move, but we were in great shape. And that's where we were. And things were good. Things were really good. And I would say that was 2015, 16. We were kind of around in those years.
Okay. So from 14 to 15, 16.
Oh, we were skyrocketing.
Rock and rolling. I saw the growth happen. I was watching you from afar and admiring, I was really copycatting a lot of what you were doing, trying to replicate that back in the world. That's right. I was bringing a little Houston to the NO. The Speaker Boys.
Oh, my God.
Remember that?
Oh, God.
So I want to get back to that because that's on the warehousing side. But from a delivery side, from 4 to 15, what did you see and what were you able to bring to the company to help accelerate that growth? And what were they not doing before that you helped to contribute to? Because I know it's a team effort ultimately.
Certainly a team effort. I would say I worked very hard with the company to overcome fear of the unknown. That was our absolute biggest bottleneck. So I best working example of that, we had a client that was into home dialysis, and they wanted us to take the equipment into the house and set it up. And our operations team was super uncomfortable with it, right? They were concerned about patient safety, that somebody was going to get hurt or injured, which I appreciate. And so really teaching them and helping them and engaging with them and helping them to learn and understand the process of there's absolutely nothing that could go wrong in this situation, open their eyes to a whole new world. And so I think that engagement, whereas before it was a business that was run by a single owner, he was a little more closed. So just a different mindset and leadership style that was a little more transparent, I think helped a lot.
Yeah. I remember coming to the office and there was an energy in the space. I like the way you had, this is the first time I saw you had dispatchers and you had come dispatch support or they would work in the same room and working in tandem where one was focused on the driver's side, one focused on the customer side. How you guys had the map of the city of Houston, the loop, and segmented certain dispatchers on this side. It just showed me a different way of running the business. And I was like, man, these guys are on it. And then I go back in the warehouse.
Oh, God.
And I see just rows and rows of piles and piles of like speakers and all kind of stuff with speakers in there.
Yeah, man.
And that was the first time I was like, wait, you make money here too? And then you said you deliver it? So for the audience who have not, some of our audience, these folks are just trying to get into the industry. Maybe they're a driver trying to become master contractors.
Sure.
They may not understand how evolution happens to go from I'm driving, I've got a few drivers, I've got a warehouse, I'm charging warehousing, delivery.
Sure.
Talk about how that worked because you taught me a lot of that stuff. And I think the audience should to learn how that happened in Hot Shot.
So, I mean, if specifically about warehousing, I learned really early on, right? If I can get paid to touch it, I'm going to get paid to touch it as much as possible. So if I can get paid to touch it, to bring it in, if I can get paid to touch it, put it on a shelf, I can get touched off a shelf, touch it, put it back on a truck, like anything that I can do. And then I have to pay for the space, so I'm going to charge you for the space. So it was very simple. And the speaker guys, that was like filler work on a route. It was, these guys had there was a gap in the market. And for those of you that have ever been at a gas station and had a guy roll up and try to sell you a set of speakers that he had an overstock for, these are the speaker guys. Like, it is a legit thing. I don't exactly know where these speakers are. They sound decent.
Entrepreneurs.
But they're entrepreneurs and they're working hard and they're buying these speakers and they're importing them in by the container, and then you need a place to store them. And we had space. So we were able to fulfill the storage for them. We were able to have parts available to them out on demand when they needed them. And in the case that they needed something delivered, we had a delivery mechanism in place for them. Most of the time it was will call. They would come and pick them up. Yep. But for us, it was easy. We got paid to store it. We got paid on a COD, collect to deliver, and it was nice. It was easy. And it was a situation where if we had a client that needed space, it was portable work. We could easily say no. We could turn it down. It wasn't big, but it was easy money. It was fun money, and it was entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
In the delivery business, efficiency is everything. And that's where Dispatch Science gives you the edge. Their modern, cloud-based, AI-powered transportation management system optimizes routes, tracks orders in real time, and automates processes to save you time and money. If you're serious about scaling your business and staying ahead of your competition, then Dispatch Science is your next move. So visit dispatchscience.com today and give them the L12 discount code where you'll get 20% off your first month's invoice. Now back to Last of First.
Definitely entertaining.
Definitely entertaining.
It was. I want to make sure I called it out because it was the first time I saw a real win.
Right.
So you had the company wins because now instead of having a single chance of making money on a delivery,
right,
I've got an inbound, I've got a storage, maybe an outbound, depending on how I set it up. So now I've got 4 times to make money on the same customer.
Right.
The driver, you're still giving him deliveries, more volume adding to his or her route. And then the customer's winning because they're benefiting from a integrated solution.
Correct.
So I just want to call that because I think that it's important to see how simple you can take from a customer that you may be doing deliveries for and upsell your services to what they can do, what you can do from on the logistics side and really make them more sticky to you.
Sure.
Because now it's harder for them to leave to go for 25, 50 cents less, dollar less delivery because you providing value on the warehousing side.
And I think that's the key, right? We're solving problems.
Yeah.
Like that's at the end of the day, that's what we do. And for me to really answer, I think the root of the question that you're asking is like, what did I experience and how did we grow? We grew because we asked people that called our phones, like, what is the problem and how can we help you solve it? And the way that we scaled that business nationally was when you called me for a problem in Houston, I asked you, where else are you experiencing this problem? And how could I help you there? Or would you allow me the opportunity to help you there? And most of the time they said yes. And so it was when you focus on solving problems, people will actually pay a lot more attention than if you're just trying to sell them an offer that you hadn't even figured out yet.
So I love that because it's another thing I appreciate about you. That I've always thought you were always one of the smartest guys in the room, right? Because
my teachers may disagree.
But you got the hustler's mentality. And part of that is, you mentioned it, and a lot of people do it now, but at that time, people weren't really brokering work out. They weren't creating their own networks, maybe not formally doing it. So you want to, people I saw that said, okay, how can I expand this with this customer in Houston and do it in Atlanta, or do it in New Orleans, or do it in New York or Philadelphia? So what was, because that's a separate part of the business where you get into the broker side where, you know, you can do maybe a little better net margins on that work. And it'd be a compliment piece. So how did you think about evolving that part? And how did you do it? How did you take it from just a local delivery company serving Houston to nationally representing clients?
Figured out at a very young age, there's a lot of power in networking. And really, networking is nothing more than the fundamental art of relationships. And relationships are formed on very core fundamental agreements amongst people, typically with a defined mutual purpose that have reciprocal value. And if I'm going to spend time coming to conferences and meeting people from around the country and all of this, what is that value creation? I got a guy. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be in New Orleans and I would like to have a nice dinner. I got a guy. I know somebody that lives there. What else could that relationship foster that's valuable for both of us? This isn't selfish. Like, I have a client, they have a need, you have a family to feed, right? Like, maybe we can do something together. And so it all really came about naturally. This wasn't some like grand scheme to put some huge enterprise together. This was really about, let's do business with people that are similarly minded, that understand that the core fundamental values that we all possess is to do the right thing, take care of the customer, because they're ultimately feeding our families. And we want to do that as much as we can possibly do it, and we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So that's really where it all came from.
No, that's important because I think partnership is something that I think sometimes people miss. Sometimes we're so transactional. We're in a space where it is transactional, but the value of a partnership, the value of a long-term relationship, because it can expand, it can take you to other places. We were in a board meeting this morning, board representing 15 people across all over the country, and one person said, my customer thinks I have a presence in Los Angeles because of you. And so that's a relationship that's developed. Right. And I think that for the audience, again, if you think about different ways to make additional revenue streams, leveraging your network, getting involved, finding a customer that you do a service for in your market that you can expand to another market, just by actually brokering that work as a formal process to it, but more importantly, just a relationship you have in place with someone that can actually help you to facilitate those same services locally in another region.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you got to where the end of Hot Shot, and ultimately you guys exited the business.
Yes.
And as much as you can share about the exit, because we haven't talked a lot about exits on this podcast, other than me maybe sharing a couple of things about my experience. You had that experience. From what I know about it, it wasn't the same experience that I had on many different levels. And so one of the things we try to do in this podcast is tie in the personal with the professional. So if you can tell that story of your exit experience and maybe why it didn't go according to plan, or what you just share your thoughts on that story.
Sure. I will say that there are a lot of ways to exit a business.
Yeah.
And I think that when you add the dynamics, and the irony of this is I actually did a graduate level paper on generational transitions in family businesses, and priority, Dick Thomas and Julie and they actually were part of my subjects in that paper.
Wow.
Many years ago back in college. But my transition was not good. I was fired, essentially. There were a lot of reasons for that, and I didn't do myself any favors. And it worked out well. It worked out well for my father, which was good. He and I were in a very difficult transitional position. Like I mentioned, we had gotten to a place in the business where everything that we had really kind of set, we had achieved. But we also had reached this crossroads where we were at a point of equity conversation. And there was just a very different pattern of thought in terms of how that needed to transition and transpire. And so I made an offer to buy the business, and the offer was rejected. And I was told he would take it to the private market. And so that's what happened. And it worked out well for him, and it worked out for everybody, I think, involved. And it worked out great for me. Actually, I think it's probably one of the best things that could have ever happened for he and I personal relationship. Mm-hmm. Definitely one of the things that has changed my life for the better. Huge lesson to be learned all the way around for all of us. But definitely a different exit. Certainly helped his earnings. But it was trying times. It was a very tough period of time. But I will say the forgiveness is one of the most powerful lessons that I got out of it, because through all of it, he was the best man at my wedding, and couldn't be happier for where we are today. Yeah.
Running a delivery business comes with risks, but being unprotected shouldn't be one of them. That's why many successful business owners trust CUI Agency for their insurance and risk management needs. For over 50 years, CUI has helped transportation companies understand their unique risk, learn how to reduce their costs, and protect what matters most: their business, their people, their assets. Specializing in commercial auto, hire and own, cargo, warehousing, and other liability policies, the CUI team tailors each solution to fit your needs, coverages, and risk. So no more last-minute quotes, and definitely don't leave your future to chance. Visit CUIagency.com, speak to one of our experienced producers, and take back control of your destiny. Now back to Last to First.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Being
in a less public audience, we probably go a little deeper on that one, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, no. I appreciate you sharing that insight, and I know your father and the type of man he is, and the type of love and respect you have for him, and I've also been being a second generation owner and having.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough because there are a lot of different types of conversations, especially as you're coming in and you are a catalyst for the growth, the resurgence of the company, and how that's valued.
Sure.
And look, and I'm fortunate in my experience or role today. Like, I get guys that call me who are bringing kids in and say, "Hey, would you talk to my son or my daughter about what it looks like to be in this company? Give me some advice on how this worked out for you." And so what I tell them a lot of times, I think would work well for, and look, it was not perfect at all in my situation either. Thanksgiving dinners get a little tough.
Yeah, they do.
They get rough, and it never, those lines of dad and boss or partner, or it's all blurry, right? Can be very blurry. So I experienced a lot of those challenges too. But one thing I will say I give my dad credit for, my mom credit for too, is they were transparent about how they want to do things.
Sure.
And I felt like my dad did a pretty good job of allowing me, give me the space to make some mistakes, but also when we had success, gave me recognition for the success.
Sure.
So we were able to create this good dynamic there at play. So we've talked a lot about other options other than selling your business.
Sure.
If you are, the last time we did a study in this industry, it was, 67% of the audience, the owners, said they had no succession plan. Didn't know if their kids would come into the business and have a plan for it. And in the industry where there's getting all-time access to opportunities and growth, but we also have an aging ownership group.
Sure.
What other options from an exit standpoint Have you looked? I know you studied this a little bit. And you
Yeah,
researched on this.
I have, and I coach some of my clients on this topic as well as the transition in business. So I'm really happy to hear that people are reaching out and asking for help because it's hard, right? The dynamics and relationship coaching, and particularly around generational transitions, is tough. Tough topic. So I think that there's ESOPs, right? ESOPs are always available.
Explain it. What's the ESOP?
Employee stock option purchase. Okay. I'm not going to get in the technicalities of it, but definitely not a lawyer and don't pretend to be.
Yep.
Or a financial advisor.
But where essentially you allow the employees to buy the companies.
Allow the employees to buy the company. Okay. And there's other various forms, right? So I think one of the beautiful parts about this business is it can be a very cash-rich environment, nice equity return for the owner. And I think that if you reach a point in your career where you can reinvest that back into the business, you can be your own bank, right? And whether that's reinvesting back into employees that are operating the business, if that's reinvesting into a management company or management team, or maybe there's a young, bright, up-and-coming leader, much like yourself, right? If it was a different situation, maybe you had taken a job out of college for Ronnie, and he saw talent in you, opportunity to earn equity as you move up. So there's a lot of options. There's people list with business brokers and go that route, but really and truly, I think there's a lot of people out there that we know that are interested in buying a business. Some of your drivers might be interested in buying your business. Some of them might be more capable of buying your business than you'd ever even think about.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's really a lot of different ways to get creative about it, but you have to really understand what you want and what is your goal and what is your purpose, because I think people spend a lot of time building a business and they think of it as their child. Yeah. And then when they go to sell their business, it's hard to do that. Yeah. It becomes an emotional tie that is very difficult to break. And so when you can label it with purpose and then you're making a purpose-driven decision as opposed to an emotional decision, it becomes a little easier.
Yeah. That's such a nugget of information, because I've had experience selling my company and going through that process. I've also been on the other side buying companies.
Sure.
But a lot of people miss, and you don't think about, is the emotional side of that experience. Sure. A lot of it's very, quantitative base. It's numbers, right? But there's a whole other emotional side of that if you don't manage that, understand that on both sides, that will kill a deal in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Because it's personal.
Yeah.
It's personal. And it has so many lingering impacts, because I know a lot of things that we thought about was not just the owners and how we will do, but how does this impact the staff? These people have been there 30 years.
Sure.
This is family. It's a small business. I know their kids. I know their grandchildren. They're at the office. They're at the holiday parties. I can't put these people in harm's way. So you've got to really, if you're an owner, you got to think about that. And I think more owners should hold the line on saying, hey, we want to protect our people. Because it's unfortunately sometimes there's an environment in which there's a slash and burn effect of this thing. Right, the buyer's trying to make some additional margin on stuff. I don't know if there's a question there now, but I guess just sharing my experience too, being on both sides of it, and appreciating where you're coming from.
Fast and reliable delivery isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. And that's why over 270 global brands trust Drop-Off with their deliveries. With real-time tracking, professional couriers, and flexible scheduling, Drop-Off ensures your shipments meet their critical destinations on time, every time, down to the minute. So whether you're in the healthcare, retail, or industrial sectors, or just need a logistics partner, Drop-Off has the experience, the delivery network, and the technology to propel your business in over 40 plus cities. Visit dropoff.com, click on Talk to an Expert, and use the L2F discount code and get 10% off your first month's invoice. Now back to Last to First.
What else would you add to, I think one of the things that I've enjoyed about your evolution, we talk a lot about Last to First and this journey, is personally, you've overcome a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah.
Being an entrepreneur, only first gen, second gen, third gen, the pressure. I know, were instrumental in founding the state association in Texas, the Texas Courier and Logistics Association, TCLA. You had a lot going on.
A lot, yeah.
And you also dealt with some personal things that you had to overcome.
Sure.
And it's one thing you talk about a lot now, is that part of your journey. So I think as much as you're willing to share about your personal journey, but also more importantly, the tools you now have armed yourself with. For anybody that's out there that's dealing with the stress of what we deal with day in, day out, 24/7 business, how do you manage that?
I am very blessed with an amazing family, an amazing support system. Prayer, meditation does wonders. Ice baths pretty much daily. And when you're on the road, a cold shower will do the trick. Jason, I think that the dose of humility of being fired from your own company, days later being diagnosed with cancer, going through all of that, in the process, figuring out how to reconcile in some way with your father so that there's a semblance of a relationship for your kids. It was pretty humbling. But I think the biggest lesson of it all was really evaluating my life and looking at it and saying, what can I take responsibility for? And every part that I was able to take responsibility for, I did. And I think whether it, 7 years ago, I quit drinking alcohol. I haven't had a drop of alcohol since March 18 of 2018.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Awesome. And that has had a profound effect on my life in a lot of ways. But I think more than any, it has been the art of rigorous honesty that I have found. And I fail miserably, right? I am still artfully delusional on a daily basis, particularly when it comes to like those cheeseburgers that they have in the lobby. But I do, right? I have really tried to embrace rigorous honesty in my life, and that more than anything has been like the guiding light. Like I don't have all the answers, but I know right from wrong.
Beautifully said. We've talked. I think it's good to talk about it on camera. I've gone through personal issues, and when you go through things and you're trying to manage success, while you're dealing with personal trials and tribulations, it's a challenge.
I was a mess, Jason.
Yeah.
Look, I was a train wreck, right? I had all the success in the world. I was running my own company. I had 10 exit. We're making millions of dollars a year. I had fancy clothes. I had beautiful family. I had everything. I had a black American Express card. Anything on paper, I had it all. And I was miserable, right? And miserable because I was chasing the wrong things, and money's great and all these things are great, but I forgot my purpose, right? Like, why was I doing all of this? I was away from my family all the time. I wasn't investing in relationships with people that I really cared about. And so everything that I had coming to me from a dose of humility, I got. And I deservedly ate it. And, the best part about all of this, and for you and for anybody that's listening, if you're sitting here today, you might as well put a cape on, because you're as good and as deserving as any hero that's out there.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, pick your favorite, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have overcome as much adversity and pain and trauma, probably 10 times more than any of those heroes. Like, I'm proud of myself, right? And there's no reason for me to be sitting here. Hell, I walked around for 5 days with a ruptured appendix. I shouldn't be here today. Yeah. But we are. And that's a blessing. So
no, 100%. I think it's the thing that I appreciate about it, that's why I like to use the phrase enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Like, when you enjoy the journey more than the finish line, you start to appreciate these moments. Right? You start to appreciate the trials, the tribulations. You don't appreciate it because it hurts. Yeah. But you start to appreciate that this is molding me into something that I need to become.
So that's an interesting thing. So I think that's probably one of the other lessons that I can say, and I can point to you as a good shining example of this. So you've been an athlete for as long as I've known you, very good athlete, college athlete, and you have amazing discipline, and you see it. I, not so much when it came to my athletics. I had amazing talent. I was very gifted and I was very good, but I wasted it. But what I have found is that when it comes to solving problems and fixating in thinking things through, that's where my discipline is. And so I think finding your lane and finding your disciplines is very important. And I bring that up because I think people, when they watch podcasts and they watch things like this, they see things and they want to emulate this and they want to try this and want to try that. Don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
What works for you is not going to necessarily work for me, but what works for you might work a little bit for me with the way I do it, right? I'm going to swing my swing. You're going to swing your swing. I might copy you a little bit, but it's still my swing.
Yeah.
So I think everybody needs to just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And keep pushing forward.
Yeah. I heard a quote recently. It was, stop trying to be second best at being someone else. Be first at being you.
Like that.
And it's true. And I think you're a testament to that. A lot of what you've done, overcame, is a testament to personal perseverance. And I think, to your point, we can all have a cape on because the human experience is
it's a challenging one.
life be lifing. But it's, what can you learn from that? How can you take those lessons, take those issues, take those we think is trials, tribulations, and see the benefit of them and see how it can really help promote you and push you from last to first. So I want to segue to the last part of the question here, is getting back to kind of industry. You're one of the guys that I think are always thinking about this industry, thinking about where it's going next, how companies will, if you're carrying the space, how you can evolve and be ready for that. Just as succinctly as you possibly can, what do you see when you think about this industry in 5, 10, 15 years? What does that picture look like to you? And for the audience, where can they play a role in assuming they're a carrier out there, be involved in the growth opportunity of the sector?
I see the market becoming a lot more interconnected. I see the market opening up for a lot more entrepreneurial visionaries, in the sense of, I think that there will be capacity needs that independent carriers, master contractors, small and mid-size carriers are going to be able to fill. And I think that the beautiful part is that there are pathways now, learning platforms, educational platforms, won't name names, but there are platforms out there that allow for tremendous expansion of learning for drivers to take advantage of, or even if they have a company that can get bloodborne pathogen certification, get radiopharmaceutical certification, hazmat endorsements
at that driver or master contractor
at that
level.
driver master contractor level, and even companies, right? Even company owners. If you're in the medical delivery space, somebody, if not everybody involved in those shipments, should probably know something about them, right? So I think there's a lot more learning opportunity. I think that there's going to be expansion opportunities for drivers to take on more roles. And I see it shifting, right? I think we're going to see it moving more. I think autonomy is going to play a bigger role. I think we're going to see a shift in demand as autonomy plays a bigger role in non-critical issues, right? Non-critical movements. You're going to see a shift in a little more qualification and certification. And so I think those learning modules and opportunities are going to be used and well taken advantage of.
Yeah, the future is definitely bright, interesting. I think there is going to be a shift because the technology, the interconnectedness, as you mentioned, will allow for that lower level of driver to connect and plug in. And so you need to be thinking about that and what role you will play into that. I want to thank you guys for joining us. This was really a treat. My man, Eric Donaldson, who's, again, one of my early mentors, I think one of the bright minds in the space. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, for your wisdom, both professionally, also personally, and how our journeys to last the first ultimately comes back to ourselves, our ability to overcome our personal obstacles to achieve success.
Absolutely, man. We're never out of the race. So
Appreciate you, man. Love you. Thanks for being
you
here.
too, man. Thank you. See you.
Want more game-changing insights from the best and last mile delivery? Stay locked in with Last to First. Follow us on social media for exclusive clips, behind-the-scenes content, and expert tips. Subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a beat. Join the conversation. Send us some comments, drop in your questions, and become a part of the Last to First movement. Want to be a guest or know someone that should be? Hit us up and let's get them on the show. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, reach out to us. We'd love to work with you. Find us on social media with @Last to First Podcast. Send email to info@lastthefirstpodcast.com or go check out our website and let us know how we can support, help, and bring you better content going forward. Now back to Last to First.